Welcome once again. Welcome back. I am G. He is J.
I am J.
We are back, Sense of Shock, bringing you all that goodness that we have done for so many weeks now, mind you. It's been
some weeks,
It's been some weeks. We've been traveling at full speed. If you haven't seen this channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share, so therefore you know exactly when we're on the next go around. We've got lots of great things that we're going to bring to you. A lot of experiences, a lot of upcoming information, and just overall a really good time. How have you been? You know, it's been a while since we've been doing this.
It has been.
Yeah.
I haven't been here for the last couple, but
Yeah.
I've been good. Been good. Just taking things slow. Just kind of resting, relaxing, getting my mind right.
Gaming.
Trying to.
Get that game.
Trying to.
Well, the main thing is that we are here today, one and all, to bring you
You'll never guess what we're here for today.
God of War.
God of War.
I need the R. There it is. It was God of War.
God of War.
God of War. There's such a great feeling when it comes to a man extracting rage. After a long work day, you know, you've been working your 40 hours. And you just, or maybe even more, you know, whatever your choice of job, I would hope it's full-time and a lot of hours, that you are kind of plumb tired, you're kind of done with the world, and you just want to just kick back and relax. And you probably had a bad day, and the best way to let that rage out is to pop in your disc of God of War, whichever platform it may be at the time. Because this series goes back to the 2005. Of God of War on the PlayStation 2. And we have our character Kratos, the Fresh Maker, or the Blood Maker, or the Rainmaker, whatever you want to call it. He is the gentleman that you are controlling throughout this series. And you start off in Greek mythology. Mm-hmm. And you are pretty much in servitude to an army. And you are a commander-leader, going village to village, plummeting, pillaging, doing all that fun stuff, to one day you come across this barbarian squad and your crew gets wiped out. Bottom line, they just don't stand a chance. It's almost like putting the 300 group 300, the movie 300, that folk versus an elitist of Assassin's Creed Valhalla tribe, and it's just like, you're done. Don't, just stop. Just thanks for playing.
Game over.
Game over. And before it's game over for Kratos, standing and pleading for his life. Not standing. He's laying down on his back.
Not
in
standing.
a precarious position though. He's just like chill back. He's like, Ares, save me, and I will be forever in your debt.
Meanwhile, homeboy is like, has his axe up. He's like, "Are you done? Can we end this? Are you done?"
It's like, you know, your mom about to beat you. And she's like, quit crying. I didn't hit you yet. I didn't hit you yet. Quit crying. I'll give you some. Quit crying. You're going to get this beaten.
But Kratos was, in fact, not done.
He wasn't.
He was not.
He was not. Our wonderful friend Ares, the god of war, from your Greek mythology.
The artist formerly known as the
Not yet.
Not true.
Currently known
yes,
as the God of War. Just does his, dare I say, miraculous powers to just annihilate them. Just take out this barbarian tribe, just one by one. Decapitating, severing, just destruction in front of Kratos' eyes. Like, okay. I didn't know it was that easy. All I had to do was say, puff the magic dragon. I could have done
this the whole time.
I could have done this from the get-go. So you go ahead and you are in servitude to Ares and doing his bidding. Mm-hmm. To which you come across a village, and Oracle just happens to be outside the village. Like, Kratos. How she knows your name, just like, listen, wench, move away. She's like, don't go in there, it'll be a fate worse than death. And he's like, woman, get away from me. Remove yourself. Shoot. Goes in, and it's just a massacre. Like, Kratos is just killing everything. And it's, it makes it seem like there's a lot of people going in there just killing people. Because these people in this little hut are just defenseless. They're like maidens and servers and probably dishwashers, taste testers. Kratos is just wiping them out. Slice. Julian slice. And all of a sudden, Kratos comes to the realization, wakes up from his rage, and notices that his daughter and his wife are just slain. Kratos has annihilated and eviscerated and ceased to exist his family. It's not like he'd be like, hey, Ares, can you bring them back? I know I'm working for you. And Kratos is pissed. He's like, I killed my family. I have nothing left to live for. So the Oracle's like, hey, pal, guess what? Remember what I told you? So because you did what I told you not to do, you just went out and did it anyways. They're ashes of the skins of your daughter. Of the bodies. We're going to take the ash. We're going to take that ash. Oh, you ain't getting lotion. This will be lotion.
You don't know nothing about being ashy. You don't even know.
You're going to be the crustiest brother on the block. So we're going to go ahead and fasten the ashes of them onto your skin. And it's going to leave that white residue. Lotion, Bath and Body Works, Jergens lotion, Dial.
Like when you take your kid to the beach and you put the sunscreen on, but the parents never actually like rub it in, so they're just white.
What do you mean this white?
Yes.
Not this white.
Not that. That's not white.
It could be.
It could be.
If it was ashy.
Fair.
Clean. So he's fasting with that, and he's known as the Ghost of Sparta. So with your crusty, ashy looking self, you go up to Ares like, Ares! Why did you do this to me? Ares like, hey, I didn't tell you to go in there. You just kind of went in there on your own. My bad. So then you extract revenge. Several things happen. And you have the battle with Ares. You become God of War. You get cocky.
Another part too.
Oh yes.
After Ares kind of answered his call, his prayer, whatever, to kind of like solidify that servitude that Kratos said, "Hey, I'll be indebted to you." He was
wrapped
seared with the blades of chaos to kind of like write your signature in blood or whatever. Like when you make a deal with the devil, he's like, "Cool, yeah, I saved you. Now to make sure you're gonna do what I do, since you said you would, we're just gonna burn these chains into your arms that are attached to these here blades of chaos that you can't ever take off."
And so they're just wrapped around the
seared
wrist.
into his wrist.
And this right here is like one of the sensitive parts of your body as well. So with your veins kind of there in a sense, very exposed, having something at 900 degrees Fahrenheit just going around your wrist, you're not gonna be.
And not even just going around, being tightened around.
Yeah, tightened around as well. It's like,
constricting.
Ow, stop it. It hurts. Stop. Okay. I can't stop. Okay, here we go. Kratos gets cocky, gets big-headed, becomes God of War. The second game takes place. You go through hell, so to speak. You meet multiple different gods. Things lead up to where you work with the Titans as well. The Titans have been betrayed by Big Baddie Zeus, who we talked about previously.
We did. A couple episodes back.
In a couple episodes previously. How great he is.
The bad guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. Yeah. He's like that Billie Eilish song, The Bad Guy. Say it. Like I said, you have the Titans. They work with you. Kratos works with them. To where you journey on top of Mount Olympus. to take out the gods. That's kind of a really wrap-up version of Part 2, because there's so much to God of War 2, which leads into God of War 3. To get on Mount Olympus and just take out all the gods. That's like the premise of the game. Hey, you're Kratos. You're this small. These are all these gods. And everything that you do will affect something that's going to happen in the world. You fight Zeus, win, and the God mode version of the game, if you beat it, then you'll have Kratos who goes off of an edge. His blood trail will be on the edge. There's a bunch of waterfall. And small distance in the back as well, you start seeing Kratos walking. So that was a nice little snippet that they had. The game series is going to continue. There's God of War Chains of Olympus, God of War Ascension, God of War Goes to Sparta. There's like a VR game. And then it goes straight into God of War 2018. And that's taking the next chapter, the next feature, the next bracket of a game series and flipping on its head to be putting mythology in this phase, now coming into Norse mythology in this phase right here. And Kratos is just, he's not worn down, but he's been eating his Wheaties. He's been eating some biscuits, and he's settled down, and he has a boy named Atreus. His wife, I would say, really kind of loosely, he's pretty much a man that's been around town quite a bit, painting the town red, that he no longer has this woman with him. And Atreus wants to take her ashes to the highest mountain.
And all the realms.
All the realms.
Because in Norse mythology there is 9.
And so Kratos already knows that's a journey. But there's a lot of things that Atreus has been taught by his mom, and Kratos is not truly privy on with this whole scenario of the 9 realms. Because homeboy just came from Greek mythology. He's like, past that. Flying colors, I got an A on that. I know ins and out. I know Hades, I know Hell, been there twice. I know everything.
I passed history.
I
killed it. All of it.
All of it.
Literally.
I had Icarus's wings. I'm flying high. And you meet many individuals there. You meet Freya. You meet golly, they escaped my name.
Rock and Cindy.
There you go. Yes.
The dwarfs.
Wow. And all of these characters will come into play as the game progresses. To where you get to the end, you get a secret understanding of who Atreus really is. That kind of shock moment. And the game is going to have Atreus at the end of the game tell you, hey, Dad, I want to go back home. And if you're smart enough to listen to just that snippet, you'd be like, you know what? I think I can go back home. I think I know the way. And when you go back home, oh my goodness. That just leaves you itching for the next game. Like, let's go. It picks up right where it needs to leave off. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the intricate be-all, end-all of a God of War. The series itself, of an understanding. Anything you wanted to add to that breakdown? So, okay, yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and just dive right into our first encounter.
I mean, it's just an overall
arc.
Yeah, because it would take way too long to go into
every
step of the way.
Yeah.
Every step of the way. If you don't know it, you need to play it.
And we've got recommendations.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you what we think. We're just going to tell you our recommendations, what you need to do. That's what we do. Wow, first encounters of the series. What was your first encounter of the God of War series?
So the God of War series, my first encounter, it was 2010, and I believe it was March of 2010, because that is when 3 released, I believe. I had gone to a friend's house. I was still in school. I had gone to a friend's house for a sleepover for his birthday. It was me and a couple other friends. So we went over there, and he was giving it to him as a birthday present. And so he was playing it. I was doing something in another room.
This game was rated mature.
It was rated mature. Yes, it was.
You were youngin'.
I was probably 2010. I would have either been 8th or ninth grade. So I was between the ages of I was either 14 or 15 at the time.
Okay.
And I was doing something in another room, probably eating or something, if I had to guess. So I missed some of the kind of lead up to what I had seen, but I came into the room and I was like, "Oh, what are you playing?" He's like, "Oh, it's this game called God of War 3." And so I'm like, "All right, cool. Never heard of it, but whatever. I like to watch people play games, so it's your birthday. Let's check it out." And the very first thing I saw was, it's shortly into the opening of God of War 3, but it is the boss fight against Poseidon. And I could not take my eyes off the screen. I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this game's about. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know. I mean, I know who Poseidon is just because I'm familiar with Greek mythology, but don't know who this guy is outside of Poseidon. Like, I don't know what his purpose of being in this game is. Like, I don't know what's going on. All I know is I need this game. And so the next day I went home and said, "Mom, I need you to take me to any store of your choosing. I don't care. But I need to go get this game." And so she took me, and I went and picked it up. And rest is, I would say history, but it's still going. So
some of it's been annihilated.
Some of it has been annihilated, yes. Yes, for sure. But that was my first encounter into it. And I finished the third one, of course, and then they, of course, remastered 1 and 2 for the PS3. So then I was like, all right, let me figure out the origin of this story and why this angry guy is angry and killing everybody. Why? Why are you that mad?
What did they do?
Did you really have that bad of a day at work? You had to kill all your bosses? Let's figure out why. But so yeah, God of War 3 was my first encounter with the game, and I mean, that game alone quickly turned it into my favorite game series of all time, even to this day. So, what about you? What was your first?
My first was, of course, like I said earlier on previous episode, was God of War 2. I did not jump on the bandwagon of God of War, the first one on the PS2 for 2005. Was deep into wrestling. Deep into WWE SmackDown versus Raw 2006 was when 05 came out. Yeah, I was done. I was wrapped. But God of War 2 was announced, and to get early access of a demo disc was to grab that for the EB Games Electronics Boutique. If you pre-ordered $5 down, they gave you a disc. I worked at a competitor, Game Crazy, took that $5 over to Electronics Boutique EB Games, gave my information, pre-ordered it, took it back to my store. By having demo discs as well, or demo units right there for PS2s, plugged it in, and just seeing a colossal monster that you're fighting, and just little bitty Kratos, and going through and having this huge entity being possessed by Zeus and trying to take out Kratos was larger than life. Having something larger than life, almost, dare I say, like that Shadow Colossus vibe to it, to where you're just like, it's little me. How am I going to take this big old thing out, and going about it? So once the game finally came out, just falling in love of how that demo played right into the game. It wasn't like it was, oh, we'll just do a hypothetical what we think the game could be. We may put this into the game, but they actually, back then had demos that was part of the game. And then playing that, really seeing a different version of Zeus, going to hell, seeing their mindset on how they wanted hell to look like. And as you're seeing Hades, as you're seeing Persephone, and then Pandora's Box, and seeing these Titans, once again, that larger-than-life mindset, and going into God of War 3. So that was like my first encounter of the God of War series. And then, of course, went back to God of War 1 And like, oh, okay, this is Poseidon. Poseidon, I mean, when you have the first one, you're on that boat, and you get the powers of, I guess, electricity from Poseidon. Poseidon's like big old head and everything, and you're just looking at him, and he's talking to you, and he's just an old man. You're like, ah. And then you fast forward to God of War 3, and you're fighting... Oh, you just not even fight yet. After you get up top on Gaia's back and taking out all these monsters, because that's what they are. They're just nothings. You see Poseidon with horse-like sculptors that are encased in water, and you have these crustacean claws as well. And then you have Poseidon with the crown as well, on top of his head, and just way far in the background. And your Kratos kind of like in the foreground, and just seeing this element of being on the back of Gaia / a mountain / seeing all of Poseidon as well was just really awe-inspiring. It's like, oh my goodness, I have to fight this. How am I going to fight this? And just finding techniques of how to take out those crustacean arms and dodging the little horse water creature to get to Poseidon was really cool. So that was my first encounter of God of War 2. Was my first encounter of the series.
Yeah,
really cool. But I mean, that leads us to epic moments.
Epic. There's been a few.
To me, like I have my favorite game of the God of War series, but it took a while for it to finally come out, because there's one that was just the pinnacle, in my opinion, of being the God of War game of all time, which was God of War Ghost of Sparta. Although it was on the PSP, they put it on the God of War Origins collection, and I love storytelling. Storytelling is really cool because it gets you to understand what the developers trying to say about this character, the struggles that they're doing, how they overcome these struggles, and just become even greater than before you first started. How they end is better than how they began, which is an arc. But you meet your mother in this. You meet Kratos' mother, which is phenomenal. Things happen there. You can kind of predict what happens. You fight a younger version of yourself, which is just wow. It's so cool to fight yourself, but that's a mental mind game, but also trying to better yourself at the same time, which bleeds into 2018. How he's very reserved as opposed to just being a warrior mindset. Then you have your brother as well. You meet your brother in that, and that's just like, oh, there's like wrestling almost mindset to it, where it's like Undertaker and Kane, where Undertaker thought that Kane was dead, and Kane comes back, rips down the Hell in a Cell cage, and Undertaker's like, I don't want to fight you. And then Undertaker's like, oh, well, I gotta talk to my dead parents in the graveyard. I'm gonna fight Kane. He's like, okay, go ahead. We can't talk. And Undertaker says, I'm fighting Kane. For Kratos to meet his brother is cool. And another feature was the seeing Atlantis. We all know Atlantis being underwater, but seeing Atlantis still standing before it becomes underwater, and seeing Midas, seeing him turning everything to gold, and the pain and the struggle he has, because he can't eat anything because he picks something up and it turns to gold. So it's just like, this boy is just really tortured just for the mindset of having a gift. I don't really say it. I mean, it's a gift and a curse. It's good for everybody else. Like, oh, you turned to gold? Cool. I'm going to go pawn that. I'll see you. To being stabbed in God of War 2 by Zeus with the blades of Olympus. Yeah. Straight to your gut.
A very big blade.
It was a huge blade.
It's not like a sword. I mean, it was
That thing impaled Kratos. And Zeus is just walking away like a G. Like, you brought this on yourself. And then that leads up to, the current God of War. When, I don't know if you guys have played God of War 2018.
He should.
But I mean, there's a special moment that Kratos has where he uncovers something of his past in the previous games, and then the ability to be able to use it. Like in most games, so like when the Iron Man movie, when Rhodes was looking at the War Machine outfit, and he was like, "Oh, maybe next time, buddy," and walks away like a tease. Kratos is just like, "I gotta do what I gotta do." I said I wasn't gonna. But I'm about to jack somebody up. And to see how Atreus becomes even a greater character by being separated from Kratos and can fend on his own and has that inner rage, that God mode mindset to not really believe he can do it, but he just knows that he has to do it in order to survive and try to bring Kratos back. And just
just pile of bodies.
Just a pile of bodies.
Just an absolute pile. Oh, okay.
Did you have any epic moments?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, the game is filled with them, especially with the original trilogy or the original 6 or however many it was. Of course, as you know, y'all may not. I never had a PSP or a Vita, so I never got to play the PSP/Vita games. Nor did I get to play when they remastered and did the the whole Saga collection, where they put them all on PS3. Yeah, so I never got to do that. So yes, it's my favorite game series of all time, but I have not played those. So some of my knowledge is lacking in those. But the thing with the original, when it's in Greek mythology, that creates a lot of epic moments, and yeah, you can pick some out, but just as a whole is, a thing that they really kind of, I wouldn't say started, but thing they focused on that brought that draw, that appeal, is the whole scale factor, like you were talking about, where you see Kratos as this 1 pixel, and you're fighting something, massive in the background. God of War 3, when you fight Kronos. And it does the wide shot where you're running around, crawling up Kronos' arm, and you're like, where am I? It's telling me to move, but I don't know where I'm at. But that whole fight was pretty cool, and especially when you go in Kronos' mouth, because you got to get that Phallus stone, however you pronounced it, and then obviously it's just that blade of Olympus come out and rip him open. Of course, the Poseidon moment is epic.
Ooh, and even Helios.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. That was memorable.
Let me just remove this off of your body.
I need that. I'm gonna need this. There's so many cool ones. I mean, Poseidon, for me, arguably the best, the most memorable, most epic moment. But of course, 2018's God of War has quite a few as well. I think my favorite one from 2018's God of War, and maybe my favorite from the series, just because of kind of the irony that us as the player get if you've played past games, when the dragon shows up and you're about to have to fight this dragon and it is attacking Sindri, and Atreus is like, we gotta save him, and then Kratos is like, alright, cool, we'll go fight him, and Atreus is like, can you kill something that big? And so for us, playing prior games, we're like, oh buddy,
read my resume.
Can I kill something that big? I took down an entire pantheon. Can I kill something that big? But then when you kill the dragon and it blows that gaping hole in its jaw, and it starts falling down, and Kratos just stands there and watches it fall right in front of his face, dragon's mouth wide open. Really one of the few times, if not the only time in that game, though, where it kind of gave you that scale factor, because they really, to fit the narrative of 2018, they really brought the camera in close to get that personal feeling with Kratos, because something we've never seen before outside of maybe flashbacks and things like that, but in current events, something we've never seen was Kratos caring about somebody other than himself, talking about the thing from his past he has to go get. You know, he doesn't want to do that, but he's doing it because it's the only thing to save his son. And God of War 1, 2, or 3, he's probably letting this kid die or killing them themselves. I mean, so, you know, they brought the camera back in this one. But yeah, that dragon falling was really cool. I thought the beginning fight with the stranger, with Baldur, was, I mean, Poseidon was fantastic, great, probably the best opening a God of War game has had. Just that boss fight was fantastic.
Yeah.
But 2018's fight with Baldur was just so much, I don't say better, it was so cool because you're like, who's this scrawny little dude showing up in my house? Like, whatever. And he's trying to figure out who you are. And Kratos was like, leave. Like, I'm going to say, all right, bye. Leave my home? Okay. But then, you know, Baldur starts punching him and he rears back, swings, Kratos catches the fist. You're like, oh, why'd you do it? Why didn't... Tried to tell you. And then you're thinking, got this in the bag, and then all of a sudden Baldur just stands up and just hits a right hook uppercut and sends you flying over your house. And you're fighting in the backyard, and, you know, you hit Baldur into a tree, and the tree just disintegrates. And just going through all that, and then fighting on top of the roof, and then slinging another full-size tree into Baldur, running him into a rock with it, and just all the destruction that's happening. That was
just the beginning of the game.
The beginning of the game, and that's, I mean, I was already so hyped for this game coming out, because, of course, God of War is my favorite series, but, man, that set a tone of just, like, oh, boy.
Yeah, and this is the boss. This is, like, a boss.
This is a boss, and, I mean, like I said, the Poseidon one... It was amazing to start that game that way, but the Baldur fight was just so unexpected. In your face, so unexpected.
New. Because you did not expect to start off fighting someone like that.
Yeah, and you know, you're feeling the same thing as Kratos because you don't know who this guy is. It doesn't tell you at the beginning. It's just like, oh, this is a stranger. And you're like, okay, fight the stranger. Whatever. But you're in that same kind of position. Like, for me, I was familiar with Norse mythology, but just kind of more your basic, your Thor, Loki, Odin, stuff like that. I didn't really know more of the
realms.
I didn't know more of the realms. I didn't know more of the other gods. One of my friends, I mean, halfway in that fight, he picked up, oh, this is Baldur. And, you know, I didn't know who Baldur was, so I couldn't pick it up. But, you know, you're like Kratos because Kratos is a stranger to this world. It's what, you know, Baldur says to him. He's like, you're a long way from home, which we find out he's not really talking about Kratos there, but it fits that same narrative because Kratos came from Greece. Now he's in Norway, in that particular area of the world. So Kratos doesn't know who these people are. He's just like, who are you showing up at my house? Why are you beating on my door? Who are you looking for? Why are you punching me?
I do not want to get extended car warranty. Please,
I don't want it.
I don't want it.
And so Kratos is just confused, but you're fighting, you know, for your life essentially. So I mean, yeah, that was really cool. The dragon, of course, was fantastic. The last fight with Baldur is awesome as well. It didn't trump the first encounter with Baldur, but it was still great.
Gratifying, yeah.
It was gratifying. The other moment in 2018's where that scale factor came into play, when Jormungandr first appears. You throw your axe in the water and it starts moving, boats rocking. All of a sudden, like the area's like all misty and foggy and dark, and then this massive world serpent comes out of the water. And if you were like me and you're wearing headphones, when that thing starts talking, it's loud and bass is just roaring in your ears. Yeah. And of course Kratos is like, what is this? And Atreus is in the boat going, this is awesome. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Am I gonna have to fight that? Because another God of War is, you're like, great, a big snake or a big dragon, I'm gonna have to fight this. So you're like 2 hours in the game and this massive snake comes out of the water and you're like, oh.
Then as a player, I'm like, I'm going to die.
I'm going to die. So that was really cool. And then also in the final fight with Baldur, when Freya has control of the corpse of Thamor, the stonemason, and she's trying to like stop you and Baldur from fighting, and then Atreus does some weird foreign language, dead tongue, and Jormungandr just flies out of nowhere, and just a lot of good, epic, memorable moments.
A lot of epic memories of the
a lot, but those are some of mine, some of my top for sure.
Even those Valkyries. It was good.
No,
what you get is even more powerful than what you were before. These are fair. Keys to being stronger and better, and realizing that you need Atreus.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go at this alone, and it's nice that they don't tell you need to work on him, but it shows that he can be leveled up just the same, and it'll be very much impactful.
And in combination with that, how as a player you need Atreus, whether it's Valkyries, other enemies, it also correlates, cross-references, whatever you want to call it. It ties into the narrative that Atreus was born here. Like, you gather at the beginning of the game, Kratos didn't spend time with Atreus. Kratos was, the breadwinner, if you will. He was always the one hunting for food, didn't really do anything with his family. He loved his family, just wasn't a very vocal, emotional person. That's not Kratos. That's not how you know him. But Atreus was taught by his mom, of course, both of them being born in Norway, in this Norse mythology. And so while, yes, as a player, you also need Atreus to help you fight off enemies, Kratos, while also for the first time showing that he cares for someone, also for the first time he's having to rely on someone. Because yes, he's Kratos, he's still technically the god of war, like, he'll be fine, he'll be okay, but there's things he doesn't know. You come into runes in the game, he doesn't know people speaking language to him, and there's the language barrier there, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And Atreus is like, Dad, he's just saying, hey.
Comprende.
But it's 2018. It's really no secret if you haven't gathered by now. 2018 is my favorite of the series. It is my favorite game of the series. 2018's God of War is my favorite game of all time. For now.
So that's the one you'd recommend.
That is.
If someone's new to this series, you would recommend that one right off the bat.
Yes. Mostly because a couple factors. One, you probably already have a PS4 and or PS5. So if you have PS5, if you have PS Plus, you've got it for free. Two, if you already have a PS4, it's $20. And so in the grand scheme of things, cost effectiveness, it would be, because at this point, the originals are on PS Now, but PS Now is going away.
And they'll probably be on the new...
they'll be on the new one for sure, but cost effect wise, it's going to be much cheaper to, if you already have a PS4 or PS5. PS5, you'll have it for free. PS4, it's like $20. A lot of times you can catch it on sale for $10. You can invest that $10 into it rather than buying a PS2 or trying to find a PS2 or a PS3 and then having to hunt those games down. And by the end of that, since now PS2 and PS3s have kind of hit that retro stage where, 10 years ago you could pick up a used PS3 for like $50. Now PS2s and PS3s, the systems themselves, since they're retro now, you're looking you're looking at about $120 just for the console, and then you got to buy the games. But I also felt that 2018 did a good job, and maybe I thought differently because I already knew the story, but I thought even though I already knew it, from the things that it showed in some areas, it did a good job of kind of giving you that basis of who Kratos was compared to who he is now. You see Zeus when you go to Helheim, when Kratos goes to hell for the 6th time at this point. where it's really like, why does he keep going there?
He's got a bonus Planet Fitness card.
he's got a timeshare down in hell because he's there all the time. Got his own condos and everything. Comes to visit. But you see Zeus and you get those backgrounds.
River Styx. Hey, I'm here.
Here's my annual pass. But it did a good job. It did a good job of giving you that, for me, giving that basis of you could gather, okay, this was who he kind of was to begin with, and then this is who he is now. Plus, I also think it would be a good one to start with, because I think now that with this new formula, and I don't mean the mythology, but the gameplay, the cinematic, because no cutscenes, no loading screens, no loading times unless you die. I think that new format is what they're going to start going forward to. So I think it would just be good to just jump to that one. Because, like I said, you'll kind of get that background knowledge while also... I mean, you get that background knowledge, but it's also telling a whole new story as well. I mean, it's nice to know what's happened before. It's nice to know that background information about someone's past. But it's not necessary for this game. It's kind of an added bonus if you know Kratos, because then you get that extra interpersonal relation. Like I said, Kratos is now having to actually trust and rely on someone. Kratos is now showing emotion to someone. So I mean, that's cool and it adds to it, but I don't think it's necessary to have played the others to go from this one just with the new story. So that is the one that I would.
I mean, there are elements in all the games, aside from 2018, of course, you definitely play 2018, but the previous ones have that certain aspects of them that I feel that you need to know that aren't really revealed. Because a lot of people have not played Ghost of Sparta, so they're just like, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, I didn't know that. It did that? You meet this person? That happened? Okay, that's cool. So I feel that there's so much that lead up to it that show why, yes, you should play that one. Chains of Olympus, I feel, is very, very, very forgettable until you get to a garden-esque location and your daughter is there. And when you meet her, you can hug her. But by being a parent, it's very difficult to leave your child forever. And in this one, you have to press the button to push your daughter away to go to the final battle. And it's just like, I was standing there for a minute, I was like, okay. And she was like, I love you, Daddy, this is great, yeah, we can do this forever. And I'm just like...
hovering over X. Yeah, we can do it forever.
And so you slightly push her away. She's like, and it's just like, all right, let's rip this Band-Aid off. Push her away and do that. That's good. It's sad, but it's good because you know you're almost at the end of the day. It's that
moral dilemma.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
You want to stay with your daughter, but you gotta go.
You have to fight that final boss.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. God of War 1 is good. Like I said at the beginning of this, it told such a great story. Then you fight multiple versions of yourself that are trying to kill your daughter and your wife. So you have to go to your daughter and your wife and hug them to give them life. And then you take on like 20 versions of yourself that are trying to come at them through the house as the house breaks down. And it's all a mind game of Ares that's playing with you before you finally encounter Ares and do what has to be done.
Unalive him.
But I would say, aside from 2018, because 2018 is definitely one that like you have to play, because it's not a game where you're like, well, this is, retro version 13. Do I need to play retro version 6 or retro version 1? 2018 is a new phase, so there are elements that appease the classic gamers of the series, but also someone new to the series, they don't have to know all the lore. And it gives it a new, fresh breath of life into it. But God of War 3, I think is really good because in the beginning, it has that black and orange silhouette type of mindset that shows all the versions of the game when it's going through the credits, the beginning credits, opening credits. and it shows everything that's happened and led up to
Last
God
time
of War
one.
3. Yes. So it's not really having a vocal. It has that mason jar look that they would have in Greece that you would see like in the Hercules cartoon, the Muses. You would have multiple different scenarios in motion that would show that leads up to Kratos being on the back of Gaia and getting ready to take on Poseidon for the first time. But definitely, I would say God of War 3, but also, top of the list is God of War 2018. And a lot of people, it depends. A lot of people are very much like, I like graphics. And I'm like, okay, but you could play. No, I want my graphics. So to those people, I definitely say 2018. If you are okay, I feel that remastered version God of War 3 on the PS4 is good. And a lot of people I know have a PS4. I know a lot of people have played that, and they're like, oh, I want to play the previous games in that. And then they try, and they're like, oh, this game's garbage. Like, these graphics. And it's like, okay, yeah, fair enough. So those, with them both being on the PlayStation 4, God of War 2018 being on PC as well, gives you that graphical edge.
Right.
So those are the, two that I would suggest, which leads me to lasting thoughts and expectations, like God of War Ragnarok. It's stated to be coming out in 2022.
That's the latest news. One of the developers has said.
It will be Game of the Year.
I agree, just like its predecessor.
I have no problem eating humble pie, but I'm normally been batting wonderful averages.
I ain't got a problem eating humble pie, but I also ain't got a problem being right.
Right.
So.
And I've been right several times when it comes to Game of the Year, and people look at me sideways, and then they don't want to mention anything when I'm correct. I'm not one to tell you I told you so. I just let the award speak for itself. So, expectation, yes, Game of the Year. Expectation coming out this year. Expectation just piggybacking off of that opening scene at the end of 2018, starting off not on the last time of God of War.
I needed to go right in.
Just put me
right
in. Just dip me in. Dip the chocolate in and just have fun.
I mean, like they always say, it's the best way to learn how to swim. Just throw me in.
Chuck me in.
Throw me in. I'll get
me
there.
In, just like
I'll get there.
Just like when I was a kid, put me in the deep end.
I'll figure it out. I will
Doggy paddle something. Get in there. So I expect greatness. I expect Freya to be on a blitz tear of just being like Kratos. I feel like she would be like Kratos in the Greek mythology of just wanting to extract rage. But there are elements of things in the realms that will cause her not to, because there's a realm that we haven't discovered yet.
There's a couple.
Yeah. So I feel like some of those, maybe she needs to lick her wounds and go back and try to find something to be a little more powerful or craft more magic, even dark magic as well, to kind of best Kratos. With Atreus being a little bit older as well, I feel that he'll be half and half gullible and caring and concerned, picking that up from his mom and what he's learned, and then trying to use all the lessons he learned in the short amount of time on the journey, on the road again, with Papa, Kratos, using that to best anybody. So I see her having lost everyone. She will go on this tear to end and vow to kill Kratos. I feel that she will fail at that, but I feel she'll come very, 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 very close. Closer than Zeus, because Kratos was just like, you have an extra life.
Level up.
Level up. I expect more weapons in this one as well. To be utilized. You have your blades, you'll have your axe, you have that shield as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you can change it, this style, because in 2018's it was a retractable shield. It was a circle. When you would block, it would come out. But in that teaser they showed, it's got ones that kind of like a square shape, ones that like, I don't even know what shape it was, a different shape than a circle.
And you go sledding in this one.
You do. New form of transportation.
You got your snow buddies.
Of course,
Disney snow buddies.
Yep, because of course with Ragnarok, in Norse mythology is essentially the end of
everything.
Life. And it is preceded by Fimbulwinter, which is just a never-ending winter that lasts a very, very, very long time. And so the Lake of Nine that you encounter in the first game, fourth game, first game, whatever you want to... In 2018. In the latest game. In the previous game, of course, you know, the Lake of Nine is where the realm travel room sets, but everything is frozen over, so... Yeah, now we have a new means of transportation, so I'm eager to see how that's gonna... When I say work, I mean, like, what more they might incorporate into it rather than just riding around. Yeah, right. You know? Like, is it just gonna be mode of transportation? Like, is there gonna be cool, like, little combat things I can do with it? You know, things like that. I am so eager, and I am expecting more fantastic stories from Amir. It was like the only reason I would stay on the boat longer than I needed to is I'm like, yeah, these are great. I love this.
We're rowing. You keep talking.
We're rowing. I'm like, I'm hitting a wall. I'm just rowing so he talks. I don't even care. I don't know if I want to say I'm expecting. I am eager and interested to see now with this game taking place 3 years after the prior, because of course Fimbulwinter is 3 years is how long it lasts before Ragnarok starts, and Fimbulwinter starts at the end of 2018's. So with Atreus being kind of around that 10, 11-year-old age, I'm interested, and then he had that kind of not superiority complex, but he had that
godlike
personality thing that mentality where he's like, when he finds out he's a god, and he becomes a brat for the next 2 hours, which you can't stand. So I'm interested to see is with him becoming older and kind of hitting that teenage young man area, young adult area of age, plus knowing he's a god, getting these tips from his dad and becoming more of a warrior. I'm interested to see if that's gonna cause more friction between the two of them, like we saw for a little bit in 2018. But more or less, I mean, I'm expecting fantastic graphics just based off of 2018's. I don't see that regressing.
No more cutscenes.
No more cutscenes, which is fantastic. But I mean, graphics are nice. Graphics are fantastic. Personally, 2018's God of War was the best visual game I've played. My opinion. Graphics are fantastic, but I love stories. So after 2018's story, I am just expecting to be blown away with this one, to see how it's going to end, because of course they're not doing a trilogy with this one. They decided with how long it takes them to make these games now, it's probably not best. They originally had it planned to be a 3-part, just like God of War 1, 2, 3. Yeah. But they decided just to... Essentially, it's kind of a 3-part, but they're throwing 2 and 3 together into one. So, because God of War 2018 was roughly 20 hours, depending on how long it took you to do stuff to beat the game, and so this one's going to be 40. So you figure an average of 20. Yeah, you figure an average of 20 hours a game would be 60, 20, and then 40, 60. But I'm expecting a fantastic story. I am more so just interested to see Kratos and Atreus' relation develop. That's what I loved most about 2018 was, granted I'm not a father yet, I hope to be someday, but myself, I'm not a very expressive, emotional person, and so I'm sure that runs through a lot of dads' heads when they're having a kid, like, am I ready to be a dad? And seeing that relationship that, you know, one of the first few minutes into the game when Atreus kills his first deer, in the game at least, and, you know, Atreus doesn't want to push that final knife into it. He doesn't want to do it. He's got that childlike innocence. You know, no kid wants to kill... Most normal kids don't want to kill an animal. And he doesn't want to do it. Of course, Kratos makes him do it. And, you know, Kratos kind of looks away, and Atreus kind of is like, wants to put his hand on him, and he doesn't. And then he looks away, and then Kratos looks over, and he wants to put his hand on him and doesn't. And seeing where that went from to Kratos learning to love Atreus. Even though you kind of get the idea that Kratos kind of views his son as just like, not a disappointment, but he's like, oh, you're no warrior, you're not ready for anything, you can't do anything. Seeing that develop into that trust, and then by the end of the game, I mean, you're falling out of the air fighting Baldur, and Kratos hits him, and then you have to hit a button, and Atreus shoots him with an arrow.
Working as a team.
Working as a team. And that was my favorite part, was just that emotional journey, and that camera work just helped with that so much, because like I said, as opposed to prior games where the camera's way back here, you know, it's right over Kratos' shoulder, and it's always there. I think back to one of the turning points in that is Atreus has to kill his first human in self-defense. Yeah. And, you know, Kratos picks him up and, you know, he's crying, understandably. Dude's a 10-year-old kid and just had to kill a man. Even in self-defense, I imagine that's traumatizing. And, you know, Kratos wipes that tear off his eye, and you're like, Kratos does have a heart. Like, he's not this brutal, rage, vengeance-filled machine he's been the last 13 years. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. That is, for me, that is what's most important about a game, is the story. For most games. I mean, there's some games story doesn't matter. It's not the point of a game, like Call of Duty. I mean, it has campaigns, but you're playing it for online. Story doesn't matter. But for games like that, graphics are fantastic. Graphics are the icing on the cake, though. Graphics are not that be all end all. It's great, and I love that.
But you need gameplay and
I want to be invested.
Yeah.
And that's really what, on top of it just being my favorite series. I mean, it drew me in so much, even if I was not a fan of that series before, but I dove into that game. I mean, I remember when we worked at GameStop when that game came out, and I remember so many times, you know, a guy would come in and his girlfriend would be with him, his wife would be with him, whatever. And so many times, you know, I'm talking to him after the game came out, and so many times I hear, yeah, my wife, my girlfriend, normally hates watching me play video games. She watched me play the entire God of War game, and it's just that story is fantastic. So, not to stay on 2018s too long, but just with that, I'm just expecting, and I'm just so excited for the story of this one. How is it going to end? How are these relationships going to be repaired? How are they going to be broken? How, you know, Kratos and Freya, how's that gonna work? Because we know right now they're not on good terms. They're not even on speaking terms. They're on site terms. Where I see you, it is going down.
On my block.
Pull up. What you know about it. Pull up. Come to my turtle house and we'll see what happens.
You want this smoke, I promise.
So, you know, it's how is it gonna end? Are they gonna stop Ragnarok? Is that their goal, or do they understand it has to happen, you know? And so what's will
the Norse gods come out to play?
Will they? And will they suffer the same fate as the Greek gods? Who knows?
This and more the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
But no, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Will be game of the year.
Yeah.
I just, like I was telling you earlier, there are only two reasons I think it won't be Game of the Year. A, if it just gets delayed to next year, or B, if it comes out, I believe the cutoff is December 15th, is the cutoff for the Game of the Year awards, I think. So, if it comes out after that, of course it'll have to be for next year's, but if it comes out this year, sorry to all you Elden Ring fans and other games that may have come out. I mean, Forbidden West was fantastic.
Beautiful game.
Great, gorgeous game, fun gameplay, but
contender.
It for sure. But God of War is, if 2018 said anything, it's that they know what they're doing over at Santa Monica. They know how to tell a story. They know how to put a game together. They've got an amazing team. I mean, Santa Monica's never really disappointed. They've had some not fantastic stuff, but they've always put out quality products. So,
but yeah, that's our views, our thoughts, our recommendations on when it comes to God of War, the series. What it means to us. What does it mean to you? Let us know in the comment section below. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Super free. And turn on notifications to find out exactly when we're on next, because we got more to bring to you.
Yes, sir.
There's so many things that are doing. And we will bring things to light. the bill will come due. Until then, we will see you. We'll see you. Peace.